JPA stands for Java Persistence API. It provides a platform to work directly with objects instead of using SQL statements. In this session, we will learn how to perform insert operation into the database table using JPA with the support of EJB, JSF and JSP. To perform insert operation using JPA, create a new Maven project in Red Hat Code Ready Studio. And select the architecture type Quick Start version 1.4. Then apply filter to select the architecture type Quick Start version 1.4. Then select Maven archetype Quick Start. Provide the details of group ID, artifact ID and package name. Then finish. It creates a directory structure for the architecture type Quick Start. Once the build process is completed, explore the directory structure and choose the build path src main Java. It creates a default package for the file app.java based on the architecture Quick Start version 1.4. Select the default package and delete. Then convert the project into dynamic web application. Choose the project root directory and use the option build path, then configure build path and select project paysets. Click on converted to paysetted form and choose dynamic web module version 3.1. Change the Java version as 1.8. Select JavaScript and select Java Server Pages version 2.2. Then click on further configuration available. Enable the checkbox generate web.xml file and ensure the JSF implementation library type is disable library configuration. In URL mapping pattern, we need to add one more URL pattern mapping for JSF. Then OK, apply and close. Now the directory structure is converted into supporting dynamic web application. Then we need to configure JPA. Choose the project root directory, right click and use the option build path, configure build path and choose project paysets. Now there is an option JPA and select version 2.1. Then click on further configuration available and ensure the JPA implementation type disable library configuration. Then click OK, apply and close. Now in the directory structure, JPA content will be added. If you expand this, there you can see the file persistence.xml. So later we can configure this file persistence.xml. Then open the form.xml file. Update the Maven compiler source to 1.8 and target 1.8. Add dependencies for JSF. Open browser. Visit the website mvnrepository.com. Then search dependency for JSF API. Then choose Java Server Pages 2.2 API. Select latest version. Copy the dependency details and paste it in form.xml file under the tag dependencies. Then find out the dependency detail for Enterprise Java build. Click on Enterprise Java Bin 3.1 API. Select latest version, copy dependency details and paste it in form.xml file. And search dependency detail for Java Persistence API. Search like Java X Persistence API. So click on the link JavaX Persistence API, and there is only one version 2.2. So click on the version 2.2, copy the dependency details and paste it in form.xml file. Perform the insert operation into the database table using JSF as well as JSP. So that we need to add dependency for Java Servlet and JSP. Search the API for Java Servlet. Click on Java Servlet API and select latest version. Copy dependency details and paste it in form.xml file. Then find dependency detail for JSP API. So click on the link Java Server Pages API and select the latest version. Copy paste the dependency details. So added dependencies for JSF, EJB, Java Persistence and Java Servlet and JSP. Then save the file form.xml and close, then update the project. By choosing project root directory, right click, use the option May1 update project. Okay, now the project is updated. Then we can start implementing the insert operation using JPA with the support of EJB, JSF and JSP. So locate the file web.xml. It will be in src main webf web-inf. So open the file web.xml, open it in source view, remove all other file formats except index.html. Then save the file web.xml, close and create a HTML file in the directory webf. So choose the directory webf, go to the option new, choose HTML file, name it as index.html. So open the file index.html and change the title as JPA demo. In the body section, add a tag h3 to display the details on the screen. Insert data using JPA with EJB, JSF and JSP. And create two hyperlinks. Insert data using JSF and insert data using JSP. Then create two files in the webf directory. Choose webf directory. Right click, use the option new XHTML page. Name the file as add. Then finish. Now the file is created, add.xhtml in the directory webf. And create one JSP file in the same directory webf by using the option JSP file and named the file as add.jsp. add.jsp. So in the webf directory has three files, index.html. This is an welcome page. There we created two links. One is for insert data using JSF and another one is for insert data using JSP. So that I created one JSF file and one JSP file. The name add.xhtml for JSF, add.jsp for performing insert data using JSP. So then open the file index.html, set hyperlink reference for insert data using JSF as add.jsf and hyperlink reference for insert data using JSP add.jsp. Then save and close the file index.html. Then create packages in the build path src main Java. So right click on the path src main Java, use the option package to create packages. Create package in the name com.controller and create another package by using the same option, new package com.entity and com.model. So three packages are created in the build path src main Java. Perform insert operation to the database. So we need to create a table in MySQL database. Open MySQL workbench and create a table. I'm going to create a table in the database schema name KLU. So why? Because the database schema KLU is configured with the JPA server. In the previous session video, you can refer how to configure the MySQL database in JPA server. So I configured the database schema KLU with the JPA server, so that I'm going to create a table in the schema KLU. So then tables, I already created table employee. It has three columns: employee ID, name and salary. Now using the query window, we can retrieve the data from the table. Select star from the database schema name KLU dot table name employee. Execute a select query. It retrieves data from the table employee. So there are two records: employee ID, name and salary. So employee ID declared as integer and salary is declared as integer, name declared as varchar. That details we can get by selecting the table employee and columns. Here it can display the column name employee ID declared as integer, that will be the primary key, and name declared as varchar and salary declared as integer. So next, return back to Red Hat Code Ready Studio. Create a entity class in the package com.entity. So open the select the package com.entity and create a new Java class and name the class as employee. Then finish. We should assign the same name to the class matched with the database table. Then make it as entity class by adding the annotation at entity from the package javax persistence, and add one more annotation, table, and name equal to table name employee. Then implements the serializable interface. Then it gives a warning error. So place cursor on the warning error and use the option add default serial version ID. So then create instance variables matched with the database table. In database table, there are three columns: employee ID, name and salary. So I created int employee ID, name, int salary. So in the three column, employee ID is a primary key, so that we need to add annotation ID. Then the JPA unit understand that the employee ID will be the primary key. Then second instance variable is name, so it exactly matched with the database column name, and employee ID is also matched with the database column. Suppose we created instance variable instead of salary like SAL, so this column is not present in the table. So once verify the database table, there is no column in the name SAL. So the column name is salary. If suppose the instance variable and database table column name are mismatched, we can add the annotation column name equal to salary. So like this we can create instance variable. If the instance variable name and the database table column name are matched, then there is no issue. Suppose the names of instance variable and database column name are mismatched, then we can add the annotation column and set the attribute name equal to database column name salary. So then save the file. Now the file gives an error on the class name. Just place cursor on the error class name. It says com.entity.employee is managed but is not listed in the persistence.xml file. So then open the file persistence.xml and open it in source view. This is the default code available in the file persistence.xml. Now I'm going to configure this file by using the tag general. The unit name is taken based on the project name. If you want, you can change the persistence unit name. So I just changed it as JPA, and we need to add the entity class. In the managed class list, click on the button add. So find out the class employee. Just start typing employee here. It will display from the package com.entity. Select and OK. Now it will be added into the managed class list. Then open the next tab, connections. Change the transaction type as resource local and place the JNDA information for MySQL database. In the last session, I explained how to configure MySQL database with the JBoss server. We can find the JNDA information for MySQL database which is configured in the JBoss server. To get Java naming directory interface for MySQL database, choose the tab servers and select the server and start. Once server is started, we can open the JBoss management console in this link. Just copy the link, open your browser and paste the link in the address bar. Now it opens the JBoss management console. So creating username for access JBoss management console also explained in the previous session. Use the username and password and click on sign in. It opens the management console. To create any new database, we can use the menu configuration. Now I'm going to view the JNDA details. So click on the menu runtime and choose standalone server, then subsystems, data sources. Click on view button. It will list out all the available configured data sources in JBoss server. So this is the data source we configured for MySQL and this is the JNDA information. So copy the JNDA information and open it Red Hat Code Ready Studio and paste in the place of non-JTA data source. Then save. Now open the file persistence.xml in source view. So now the persistence.xml file has been configured based on the information we provided in the tab general and connection. So then save the file persistence.xml and close. Then open the file employee.java. Generate get and set methods for the instance variables employee ID, name and salary. So choose the file name employee.java and use the option source generate getters and setters and select the instance variable employee ID and name and salary. So no need to select serial version ID. Then click on generate. It generates get and set methods for the instance variables. Then save and close the file employee.java. So create a EJB class in the package com.model to build a logic to perform insight operation. So choose the package com.model and use the option new class to create a Java class. I named the class as employee model. Then finish. The class has been created. Then create an interface by using the option new interface. Name the interface as employee remote. So this is the interface we can use to access EJB module remotely. Then finish. Open the file employee remote.java and enable the interface to access remote by adding the annotation remote. Then declare a method to perform insert operation. Parameter to the method is object of entity class. So entity class name is employee. Choose employee and create object for that and handle the exceptions. Add throws exception. So now the method is declared in the interface in the name insert data with return type string, and it takes parameter is an object of entity class. Then save the file employee remote.java and close, and open the file employee model.java and convert it into a stateless session bin. Add the annotation stateless and add one more annotation, transaction management value equal to transaction management type dot bin. Then implement the interface employee remote. So then place cursor on the class name employee model and use the option add unimplemented methods. So now the method is generated for insert data which we declared in the interface employee remote. Here we can write a logic to perform insert operation using JPA. So create object for entity manager factory. Initialize by using persistence dot create entity manager. Here we can assign the name of the persistence unit. So open the file persistence.xml. Here we can see the name of persistence unit. Persistence unit name is JPA. So assign the persistence unit name JPA for entity manager factory object. Okay, then create object for entity manager. So select interface entity manager and create object and initialize by using the object of entity manager factory emf dot call the method create entity manager. Then use the object of entity manager dot call the method get transaction and dot begin. So we are performing insert operation. So use the method em dot persist and pass the parameter object of entity class. So entity class is employee, that will be passed as a parameter. The object name is E. So we can pass E as a parameter to the method persist. And then em dot call get transaction dot and call the method commit. Then close em dot close and close entity manager factory emf dot close. So then send a response as record inserted successfully. So this is how we can perform insert operation by using the objects without using SQL statements. So no need to write a query, create object for connection interface and preferred statement. No need to write insert query. So directly we can use the objects. That is the future of JPA. So JPA provides a platform to use objects directly instead of using SQL statements. Then save. Now the EJB is ready. Then close and create controllers. So I'm going to perform insert operation using JSF and also JSP. If you are using JSF as your front end, you need to create a managed bean as a controller. If you are using JSP as your front end, you need to create a servlet in the package controller. So first I'm going to create managed bean. So choose the package com.controller and use the option new class. I named the class as employee bean so that we can identify the difference. Finish. Now the file employee bean has been created. Then convert it into a managed bean by adding the annotation managed bean and set the attribute name equal to some name employee emp and set eager equal to true. So now the class is converted into managed bean class. So here you can create instance variable to interact with your JSF file. So I need to get three inputs from user: employee ID, name and salary by using JSF file. So I'm creating three instance variable. One is for employee ID and another one for name, string name and int salary, and one more instance variable required to get response and display it on the screen. String acknowledgement. So then generate get and set methods for these four instance variables. Choose the file name employee.bean.java, right click and use the option source generate getters and setters and select all instance variables, generate get and set methods. Now the get and set methods are generated for all these four instance variables. Create object for the interface employee remote. Employee remote is the interface name. Create object for this. Then create a method to perform insert operation. To call stateless EJB. Then create a method to call stateless EJB to perform insert operation. Name the method as call insert. Create a try catch. In the try block, create object for the entity class employee. Then set values for the instance variable e dot set employee ID, the value from the user input. The user input will be available in the instance variables emp ID, name and salary. So assign emp ID as a parameter to the method set employee ID. Then assign value for e dot set name, the user input available in the instance variable name. Then e dot set salary and pass the instance variable salary as a parameter to the method set salary. Use the instance variable acknowledgement ACK equal to use the object of employee remote er dot and call the method insert data and pass the object of employee class as a parameter to the method insert data. The insert method performs insert operation and inserts the data into the database table and send response as record inserted successfully. That will be assigned to the instance variable ACK. If any error occurred during this process, then the acknowledgement as e.getMessage. Then save. Open a file add.xhtml. This is an JSF file. Here we can design a front end to get 3 inputs from user and place one button control to perform insert operation. So now the insert operation using JSF is done. Then deploy the project. Right click on the project root directory and choose run as run on server. Then finish. Once the project is deployed, it opens index.html. There we created through 2 hyperlinks, insert data and insert data using JSP. So now we need to find out the J&DI details for EJB. So copy the J&DI detail for employee remote interface and open the controller employee bean.java. So in the place of object creation for employee remote, add the annotation EJB and set lookup value equal to the J&DI information which we copied from the console. Then save. Apply one more time. So stop the server and start deploying. Then only the changes will be updated into the server. So the project is deployed. It opens the file index.html as welcome page. There we placed 2 hyperlinks. One is for insert data using JSF. As of now we completed insert data using JSF. So click on the link insert data using JSF. It opens the page add.jsf. There we placed 3 controls to get input from user, employee ID, name and salary. So enter some details and the name of the employee and salary of an employee. Then click on insert button. We'll get response record inserted successfully. Now we can verify whether the data is inserted into the database table. Open MySQL Workbench. As of now the table has 3 records. Now execute the select query one more time. Now the record 4th record will be inserted 1004, the username ADK and salary 12,500. So this is the details we entered in the JSF file that will be inserted successfully into the database table using JPA and EJB and JSF. So next perform the same insert operation using JSP. Open the file add.jsp and change the title as insert data and place H3 tag to display the message on the browser insert data using JSP. Then create a form tag. So then place 3 input controls to get input from user, employee ID, employee name and salary. So choose the package com.controller, right click and use the option new servlet and name the servlet class as add data. And finish. The servlet file is created. In the com.controller package we can see the file add-data.java. So open the file add-data.java. This is the default code. Just remove the command lines and the constructor. Then we can start implementation in either doGet or doPost method. So in doGet method, I just set the response object content type by using setContent method as text HTML. Then create object for print writer. Initialize by using the response object dot get writer method. create object for employee remote interface. The interface name is employee remote and create object and add the annotation EJB and set lookup value equal to the JNDA information. So that will be available in the console, or we can get it from the file employee bean.java. So copy the JNDA details and paste it in add data.java. So then in the doGet method, create try catch block to handle the exception. So in the try block, create object for the entity class employee and process the inputs. So declare a temporary variable int employee ID. So input we can process by using the request dot get parameter method. The control name P1. In the JSP page, we placed 3 input controls P1, P2, P3 to get inputs from user. So now the method get parameter returns a string value that we need to convert it to an integer by using the class integer and call the method parseInt convert a string value into an integer. So then process second input, declare a temporary variable string name equal to request dot get parameter, control name P2. So no need to convert, by default the request.get parameter returns a string value. Then declare another local variable salary and get value from request.get parameter from the control P3. So now we need to convert this value into an integer. So use the class integer and call the method parseInt and convert the value of request.get parameter into an integer. Now the inputs are processed, then set value to the entity class object E. E dot call the method set employee ID and pass the local variable employee ID as a parameter, and then E dot set name and pass the local variable name as the parameter, and call E dot set salary and pass the local variable salary as a parameter. Now the entity class object is ready with value. Then we can call the method from stateless EJB. So already we created object for the interface employee remote. So by using the object E or dot, we can call the method insert data and pass the entity class object E as a parameter to the method insert data. The method insert data will insert the data into the database table and send response as record inserted successfully. So create a temporary variable to get acknowledgement. String acknowledgement equal to er dot insert data. Then write an acknowledgement by using the object of print writer and call the method print and pass the variable ack to display the acknowledgement on the screen. If any error occurred, it will be handled by the catch block. Then the response is pw.print get it from the object of exception class by using the method getMessage. So at the end of the try catch, create object for request dispatcher to get response on the same page. Request dispatcher object rd equal to object of request then use request dot get request dispatcher and mention the destination file name. Add.jsp is the destination file name. So this request dispatcher send the response return back to the destination file add.jsp. Then by using the object of request dispatcher and call the method include, by default it takes request and response as a parameter. So then save. Then open add.jsp. In the place of form action equal to, whenever the user click on the button insert, it submits the form data to the servlet. The servlet name is add data. So this is the servlet name which we created in the package com.controller. And set method equal to get. So then stop the server and deploy, then only the changes will be updated into the server. Run as run on server, then finish. Once the project is deployed, it opens the welcome page index.html. There we created two links. One is for insert data using JSF and another one is for insert data using JSP. So we already tested insert data using JSF. Now we can test insert data using JSP. So click on the link insert data using JSP. It opens the JSP page add.jsp. So enter some values 1005 and the employee name and the employee salary. Then click on insert button. We'll get response record inserted successfully. Now we can verify the same in the database table. Execute the select query. As of now the database table has 4 records. Then click on execute button. So now the table has 5 records. So in this example I am using JPA to perform insert operation with the database table without creating SQL statements. EJBs are used to build a logic to perform insert operation. I am using JSF and JSP as a frontend to get input from user. If you are using JSP as your frontend, then you need to create a servlet in the package com.controller to interact with EJB and your JSP page. If you are using JSF as your frontend, then you need to create managed bean in the package com.controller to interact with EJB and JSF page.